days and days. When is it okay to take it off if you know another freeze is coming? And he mentioned if it gets above 50 on a particular day, probably worth the effort to take them off and put them back on. I mentioned that because tomorrow we will get above 50. We won't see a day that warm, right, until next Monday or Tuesday. So maybe if you have the time, give us a little bit of time to see some of that sun. Well, we certainly saw plenty of sun today. A bright day, and temperatures just about made it to 50. Here are the current conditions, but once again, we're going to drop like a rock, folks. We call it radiational cooling, and that is when the skies are clear and the air is potentially cold, then, well, we reach those potential levels, and we've talked about why we're into the hard freeze scenario again overnight tonight and tomorrow. But there's been much discussion, continues to be, about precipitation. We actually have two precipitation events on the way. The first one coming in Thursday night and Friday, and then the next event possibly over the weekend. Thursday night and Friday, I think we're simply going to have cold rain. Now, for those of you who are southeastern Georgia, early on Friday, you might see a bit of a wintry mix. But again, our main concern for you over southeastern Georgia is that as the roads, which will be wet overnight on Friday morning, some of the bridges, you might get some patchy ice as temperatures drop down to about freezing. Let's take a look. Take a look back at this in just a second. I'm going to go to our own Doppler. And this is the event that's developing out to our west. And sure, there's snow pretty far south now over northern Arkansas, but this is primarily going to travel about like this. The moisture just now developing over eastern Texas, Jacksonville, by the way, Texas. This is primarily rain, and this is the main event that's headed our way. So again, Thursday night, Friday morning, yeah, there could be a little bit of sleet, maybe a flurry or two over southeastern Georgia. But I think the main event of interest, maybe not necessarily concern yet, is the event over the weekend, because the front coming in on Friday will be even stronger, even colder than the air that we've had. And in some form or another, an area of low pressure will develop over the Gulf of Mexico. Now, during the day on Saturday, we expect most of the precipitation to stay south of us, but it could be in the upper levels. Enough of that moisture flies our way, and if it falls, it's going to come down as snow. That's the question this weekend. Very often we have two questions. First of all, is it going to be cold enough to snow? Second of all, is there enough moisture? This weekend, no question, cold enough to snow. The question is, will it be enough moisture? That's why we're showing you snow, but just a slight chance, 20% chance. But look at these temperatures over the weekend. Maybe a high of only 39 on Saturday. Some of us on Sunday might have a hard time even making it to freezing. And look at Monday morning, down to 15 degrees. You know, folks, I'm actually being conservative. Some of the computer models are going even lower. We'll leave that alone for now. I say let's go with the south